Hello and welcome to WomanVision TV. I'm your host, Nadia Giordana. On today's show, I'm going on location to visit with author Joan Kennedy. She is an amazing woman who, at 91 years old, pulled together the stories of 40 women who, over the course of their lifetime, managed to rise above their fears, their self-doubts, and their failures to get to a level of success where they were living the life of their dreams. I'm proud to be counted among the women included in this Amazon bestseller, Unlocking the Secrets of Successful Women. Now, prior to the release of this book, I didn't know much about Joan until just recently when I had the opportunity to have lunch with her at her home and some time to talk. Please watch with me, won't you? Joan, hi. I'm so glad that we finally found some time to sit and talk one-on-one and get to know each other better. And thank you for allowing me to bring my traveling studio here to your home.
Well, it's exciting for me. I mean, it's wonderful.
It is fun,
Yeah.
and you know, I've had some experience with book projects like the one you just released, so I know what a monumental task this was to bring this together, and I'm wondering what some of your bigger challenges were as you endeavored to bring this whole thing to life.
Well, I think the biggest challenge was just finding the women. And it's amazing how many women didn't think they were successful when people said, you've got to get so-and-so. So that was exciting to be able to meet with these women and listen to their stories.
Yeah.
And then I would bring, and I recorded it, you know. And so then I would bring it home. That was the challenge, you know, finding the women. Then when I got home, it was just a matter of working, the discipline, and transcribing an hour and a half tape, which was, you know, 4 or 5 words, and then you write them out.
Oh yeah, that
4 or
takes
5
time.
words.
Yeah.
And then I did this with longhand, and then I put it on the computer, and then I sent back the stories, and for any additions or deletions, and then they sent them back to me, and it was that kind of process.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And then I sent it to the editor. But I loved the time that I had with these women, interviewing them, and I always felt so honored to for them to tell their stories, and that they trusted me. That was great. Yeah.
And you're right, for some to make sure they understand, yeah, they are successful, they are worthy of being in this book.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it isn't a question of title or monies. It's doing what you love and love what you're doing, and living your dream, and that's what these women are doing. Yes.
And that's the point that came across in it, and I think that worked out real well. One thing, you concluded the book, and I'm so glad you did this, by including your own story, titled Your Past Is Not Your Future. And I was struck by some of the things you said about keeping your spirits up during some of the hard times.
Yeah. Well, when my dad took the 4 of us, myself, my brother, and 2 of my sisters, to the orphanage, that was difficult. It was kind of frightening.
Yes.
And I was sad to see my dad go, and now to live with nuns for the next 5 years. They're very strict, and it was a lot of discipline, but I felt safe there.
Yeah.
And so I was there 5 years, and then went to live with my dad after he got married. He got married, and then we all came home. And what was fun about that, the woman he married had a sofa. And I had never had a sofa. I had never sat on a sofa.
Really?
And I'm 15 years old. But they didn't have sofas at the orphanage, you know, and we didn't have sofas. People didn't have sofas.
I guess you're right, yeah.
I mean, you know, we're talking 1930 something, you know. But anyway, but it was an attitude, yeah. And you know, I had about 8 years maybe. Tough times, you know, working in a factory, dealing with 3 shifts, and I had a baby, and I lived with my mother, and you know, that was a tough. It wasn't tough. It was difficult, but through it all, you know, there were good times, happy times, and I'm by nature a happy person. Yeah.
That helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. It takes a lot to bring me down, you know.
That's so wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, and you mentioned at one point that you had read a book, and the takeaway you got from that, if I can remember your words, was that it's not who we are, it's who we think we are that sets the boundaries for our accomplishments. And what I thought about that was this part of the time that you brought visualizations into your life?
Yes. You know, Maxwell Maltz, the book was Psycho-Cybernetics.
Okay.
And when I saw the book review, I hadn't a clue as to what Psycho-Cybernetics meant, you know. But the first line of this review was, if life has passed you by, and I thought, well, that's for me, you know. So, and I read his series and the visualization, and at that time, I was working in a bookstore, and then for added monies,
Sure.
I worked for my friends. You know, I washed clothes and ironed and refinished furniture. I just did anything and everything and mended Oriental rugs, and I hadn't mended them before. But anyway, you do what you have to do.
Yeah, whatever it takes.
Yes, so that's what it was all about. And then I read the book, and you know, my life changed because of, you know, he says that we all have this image within us, and if you have a low self-image, you know,
it's just not going to go with that.
That's right. And you act like the kind of person you think you are. And I would say, well, who'd want me? You know, I didn't think I could do anything. Who'd want me?
Oh, that's right. You went into a modeling career later on, didn't you?
I did. Well, before that, when I was in my 20s, I was a fashion model. But then I got married and I was home for 18 years. And you know, and you're 47 and you go, who'd want you?
Everyone thinks that's too late.
Absolutely. You know, there is just no time when
is it?
No, it isn't. And after I read the book, and I thought about it, and I thought, well, now why not me? Why can't I do that? I know I can. And so I went down for an interview, and while we were there, she said she was losing her fashion assistant, who was 23 and pregnant. And she said she made up her mind the next fashion coordinator was going to be an older woman who wasn't going to get pregnant. And of course, you know, there I was in living color. And I got the job. But, you know, prior to that, every night I would visualize having this interview with her. And, you know, every night she says, you're hired. And that's what I took with me day after day after day for a whole month. And I got the job.
You had that image in your mind.
I was a confident, you know, intelligent woman. I wasn't just a housewife. And people, you know, back then they say, well, what do you do? And you say, well, I'm just a housewife, you know. So you have that kind of image. Got rid of that one.
You got rid of that. And another thing I was struck by that you talked about in your story was that at one point in your life you overcame a fear of public speaking, and that I can really relate to that. So I'm wondering how you did it.
Well, when I started working as a fashion coordinator, I had two jobs that I had to do. One, I had to pull together the clothes and accessorize everything for the fashion show.
Yeah.
And the second thing I was supposed to do was stand up and talk about the things that I had picked out. Well, putting the clothes together, putting the show together was just second nature to me. But to stand up in front of a group of women, I just panicked.
Yeah.
And so the fashion director would go out and she would give the commentary, and I would stay backstage safe and dress the models.
I can relate.
Yeah. So most of my life, I would say, makes me nervous to stand up and speak. And a lot of people say that.
A lot of people do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I found out about it, a workshop, and it was Executive Dynamics. It was a 3-day workshop in Hudson, Wisconsin. And I went to it and I found out about the power of affirmations. So instead of saying, it makes me nervous to stand up and speak, I changed that to, I'm an excellent speaker, well prepared, logical, and completely at ease before any group. There you go.
It's almost like a form of training your brain, isn't it?
Well, it is. It's reprogramming your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind will accept anything you tell it. Negative, positive, true, false, and certainly false. When I said I'm an excellent speaker, I wouldn't tell anybody else I was So every morning, 5 times, I said this affirmation. Every night, 5 times. And finally, it didn't take too long, and I gradually was able to stand up and speak and not be afraid. And then 2 years later, I changed professions and became a public speaker, a professional speaker, and that was,
Yes, you did, and you're still a public speaker.
Yes,
you
I
spent
am.
many years doing it.
Yes.
I can relate to that. I use those same techniques to
Did you?
overcome the
Yeah.
fear of public speaking, and it's so worthwhile, and you've done so much with it.
And I still make the affirmations.
Yeah.
And I tell anybody and everybody who will listen about the power of saying those words, giving the right commands to your subconscious, because the subconscious mind is impersonal. It doesn't care. It doesn't care. Really doesn't.
It'll absorb what you tell it.
It accepts whatever you say, true, false, negative, positive. And that's what's wonderful. And so if you got it working for you, but most of us, it's working against us. It's so easy to say.
We do that too. Yeah, we have to rise above that.
It's so easy to make a negative statement.
Yeah, it is. Well, now before we go, I want to check with you. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you want to be sure that the viewers know about either you or your book?
Yeah. Well, it's about me and my book.
Okay.
One of the reasons I decided to put this book together was from my own experiences. When I first started out as a speaker, I didn't really know how it really worked, what the system was all about. And I hesitated to ask someone who was already successful, how did you do it? Who do you call? What do you, send the client? How do you find these clients? Simple things. But I was uncomfortable. And so I worked it out myself. And then I got to a point I didn't want to ask because I should have known better, So, that's part of putting this book together. I want a woman to pick it up and see how somebody did it.
How someone else did it.
Yes.
And there's so many stories in there and so many interesting stories. I'm not through all of them yet,
Yeah.
but I'm certainly
Yeah.
absorbed in several of them. And like you say, you can pick it up at any point and,
Yeah.
and read a
It's
story.
really, it's you know, it's something to read a story before you go to bed at night.
Yeah.
It's a good, it lifts you up, rather than thinking about all the difficult times or the difficult things that happen during the day.
Right into the affirmations too,
That's
because
right.
you can
Yes.
learn something and put it
Yes.
to work right before you go to bed. I
Yes.
like that idea.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, what I want to do also is make sure that the viewers have
Yeah.
your website and know where they can get your book and contact you for other things if they need
Okay.
to.
Well, my website is joankennedy.com, and
You've got an
Should I-
email. Do you have an email address? or-
email address
Yeah.
is JV Kennedy, number 1, at AOL.com.
Okay.
And I just want to say that I would send a list of affirmations, including, I'm an excellent speaker.
Wonderful.
I would send a list of the affirmations and the directions and some background on affirmations to anyone who would be interested if they sent me a self-addressed stamped envelope. And my address is 2287 Palmer Drive, apartment 226, New Brighton, 55112.
Great. And I'll put that on the screen too,
Yep.
so they'll be able to see it.
Good.
Well, thank you, Joan, for
Well-
being here today. This has been a pleasure.
Yes.
And I'm going to, in subsequent weeks, as time permits, interview some of the women in the book.
Wonderful, wonderful. What a great group of women.
They are a great
What-
group of women. And I'm going to have you sign my copy before
Okay.
I leave here today.
Wonderful. Okay.
Thanks, Joan.
Thank you.
One of the things I learned from this book and from my own experiences is that success comes by putting yourself out there, making mistakes, learning from them, and not giving up. Joan is right. Genuine success is not about how much money you make or what title you carry. It's about how much you overcame to get to a place where you are doing what you love and you wouldn't dream of doing anything else.